Hello guys, episode 15. Today we're going to be talking about digital nomads. With me is Stoycho Dulevski. Please first introduce yourself. What do you do exactly?
Hi everybody, my name is Stoycho Dulevski. I'm Chief Assistant Professor in Tax Law at the University of National and World Economy with special focus on international and EU tax implication and more specifically with the taxation of digital economy. Also with digital nomads, artificial intelligence, robots, etc.
Today we were about to talk about digital nomads. Why is this topic so interesting to you?
Well, actually, digital nomads is not a brand new phenomenon. If we go globally, with the technology, with the easy to use the new technologies from the beginning of the 90 years, many authors try to identify digital nomads as a brand new category of the employment of work, like a new digital work of place. Also in Bulgaria, we have a lot of hubs nowadays. It's not brand new phenomenon, and it's a monster in the elephant in the room also, such as Bansko, etc., where a lot of digital nomads prefer to live in Bulgaria due to our great country, facilities, hospitality, etc. So I choose this topic because it's part of my research project. I'm dealing with the taxation of digital nomads, both internationally and domestically, but there are a lot of implications, not from the law perspective, but also society, behavior, political economy, also how does influence the budgets, etc., and what is their migration status, what are the social security contribution, taxes to pay, and last but not least, the employment relationship. So there are a lot of factors from them.
So could you just specify what a digital nomad exactly is? And because many people also wonder what's the difference regarding a digital nomad and an expat, let's say.
Well, this is a very good question because there is not a universal definition worldwide what is digital nomads. There is a little bit debate in the literature, both from the law and economic perspective. One of the first authors defining them back in the 1990s said that there are people young or in the middle age with are very highly qualified. They usually stay for brief periods in another country, which is different from their residence country, but they have employment or another type of contractual relationship with another payer of the income, which is foreigner of the state where they are living. So they're digital because they use a lot of digital technology. They do provide a lot of services digitally. And they're nomads because they do not usually stay a long time only in one state. So it is interesting that last week, the Bulgarian National Assembly implemented in the Foreigners Act in the Republic of Bulgaria the so-called digital nomad visa, which under specific conditions provides digital nomads to live here for a period of, etc., 6 months, which is a great step from the migration law perspective. And there is a definition that there are usually people from third countries outside European Union that they are under some employment relationship with foreigner contractor outside Bulgaria. So whether this is the best opportunity from tax law perspective is questionable because some authors say that there is a small difference between expats. Some say that expats are not mandatory to provide some services, but they just live outside their home country. But there are a lot of debate between home office, teleworkers, etc. So here is the thin line.
And do you think that these legislative changes that are currently happening in Bulgaria are happening at a fast rate? And Also, are the laws, let's say, in Bulgaria and in Spain the same? Like, what's going on with the legislation in Bulgaria and the European Union regarding digital nomads?
Well, as I told to my students, law is a very dynamic discipline. So we may not be stuck only to the brick and mortar economy. We are now living in a digital world, making digital clips, etc. So we should adapt our rules to the new normal. How is the best opportunity to amend the existing traditional rules or to introduce brand new? It's like more economical and political debates. So there are a lot of countries nowadays, such as Romania, such as Cyprus, Croatia, and Portugal, that already have digital nomad visa and also some tax benefits in order to attract digital nomads to prefer these states. Or, for example, a little bit relief if they live a lot of months there to pay less taxes or to have more like less social contributions, etc. It's like the internal policy. So, from tax law perspective, in Bulgaria, we don't have yet such provisions, but the last week introduction of the Foreigner Act is a good step ahead and shows that changes are needed.
And actually, do you have any like idea if these digital nomads are mainly from like the EU or outside the EU? And are those outside the EU, is it easy for them to adapt here as digital nomads?
Well, of course, this question is very dimensional because they should like some cultural and behaviors, some languages barrier, to find brand new friends, to, for example, in some small villages, to find the best Wi-Fi connection, of course, to have the digital tools, etc. But in my opinion, we are a very lovely country. We are very hospitable, with a great climate, great nation. So I guess they prefer Bulgaria because of the location. We have mountains, we have seaside, we are in the EU, we have one of the lowest tax rates, we do speak English, so I guess from the hospitality aspect, it's not so problem. From the administrative requirements, maybe a little bit problematic. So that's why we should think how to attract them and to make the rules more applicable for the foreigners.
And what are the like taxation dimensions of being a digital nomad inside Bulgaria or other European countries?
Well, actually, there is a huge debate if we go internationally because there are a lot of literature in the tax doctrine dealing with the international tax issues. Should they be taxed like their income like a business profits, like independent services, like employment services, or like other income, or just to have brand new provision for this, especially for the digital nomads, home office, teleworkers, because it's like digital work of space. We don't have in our labor code what is digital nomad or what is home office. So it's a quite new monster for us. So from Bulgarian perspective, it's like in general, if you are living, for example, more than 183 days per year, you are a resident for tax purposes here, so you are taxed for the worldwide income here. No matter where you are, when you have like a firm in Canada or earning in Honduras, something, etc., Bulgarian National Revenue Agency wanted your income to be taxed here. In the opposite, if you are a foreigner, so if you don't have this resident status for tax purposes, you are only taxed for the income generated here. So the tricky question is what is generated here and what is generated outside here. The other issue is whether the criteria for residence in Bulgaria for tax purposes are well adapted here. Because imagine if you are a digital nomad and you are living in 5 countries per year, so where is your residence based on this period? So maybe here is to think about whether to adapt the traditional rules for untraditional workers.
And I'm also thinking of like a hypothetical situation. Let's say I'm a digital nomad and I really like Bulgaria and I decide to settle here. Are we working in the direction that we would give Bulgarian citizenship easier to such people who are digital nomads, but like Bulgaria? Is there something going inside this direction as well?
Well, the first step, as I already said, is this digital nomad visa.
Yeah.
So the other tricky part is also how to deal with the labor codes, because as I said, we don't have such rules, but it's not the traditional working in office issue. So the labor code rules are also not applicable to them as far as we understand what is traditional and non-traditional work. Regarding citizenship, it's like a little bit tricky question, because maybe it's like a more social debate, how this would influence to the society itself, to the economy, to the budget, to the expenses, etc. But from the taxes, there are some tax benefits which are applicable for foreigners, but when they're within the European countries, and not for the third countries. So maybe the challenges here is, what about from the third countries? Should they be applicable for them also? Should they be differentiated, and how? And of course, maybe introduce a little bit lower tax rate for digital nomads to prompt them to invest here.
Interesting. And before we started this conversation, you told me also that you have another thing going with AI and some kind of research project. Can you tell me also more about that? Because that's quite in line with the topics we speak about.
Well, actually, yes, I'm very interested both in the robots and artificial intelligence. And nowadays, I'm exploring how the artificial intelligence has its role in the tax, and more specifically, how does it influence the tax administration in order to examine the behavior of the taxpayers. So to say, if we have some troubles with the taxpayers that they not regularly pay on time their taxes, thus the AI may help the tax administration to identify these taxpayers and to urge them to pay on time. So it's the tricky question.
That sounds scary.
Yes, because there is also about the confidentiality issues, the taxpayer rights, GDPR, and also, so there are a lot of dimensions here, yes.
And are there any countries that are currently leaders in this sector?
Yes, there are a lot of practices, surprisingly for me. If we say within the Europe, the Netherlands are very, very popular. France also. Outside Europe, of course, USA and Australia and New Zealand. They have a lot of manuals, maybe more than hundreds of pages, how to deal with the AI from tax administration perspective, which is great.
Yeah. Do you know any other cases in which AI could be used for taxation or or even law as a general? I have no idea in that regard.
Well, it's very tricky. If we are very stuck to the tax issues, the other question is, for example, from the other part of the coin, I mean from the business, how they could implement in their work with the AI. When you, for example, have a tax advice, could AI advise you properly, like the chat GPT? Or could you, for example, replace the accountants in order to file the tax returns, so the accountants are not needed anymore? So this is the easiest, the trickiest part. From another branches of law, I'm very interested in the liability, because if you organize the artificial intelligence to track you, and the AI then return false information, where is their liability? So who share the liability? Is this like the producer, the creator, the leaser, etc.? And also, last but not least, the most maybe challenging thing is, could AI be a subject like us? So yes, maybe this is the craziest part, but maybe within the future we may think about this like a personality of the AI, so to say.
Yeah, wow. And so because you follow such, like, let's say, futuristic topics, how do you see the future? Like, what is your vision for the future?
Well, of course, more digital, more dynamic due to the digitality, more provocative, and also more intriguing, because we have a lot of information we should take care about, which is false information, which is the most intriguing to us. So of course, because it's very digital, we have metaverse, we have universe also. So the legal question of these things are the new normal. So we should adapt our legal perception to the new normal. So this is the trickiest part, to be in line with the digital dynamic perceptions.
Do you currently use any like AI tools in your work? Because you work very specific like topics. Do you think that it's currently, let's say, does it make mistakes? Do you rely on it when you write certain texts?
Well, the funniest part is that 90% I don't rely it, because I don't want to be like very subjective on this issue. I tried, of course. I find some mistakes, hallucinations, etc., which is normal, especially when the product is not paid. But I try to not to think like the AI, to be the other part of the coin. But nowadays I see that this the AI help with the part of the lawyer, with the tax specialist, especially with the summary of some tax, the case, law case, etc. Still a little bit manipulating and hallucinating, but this is maybe the great when you want a brief summary, for example.
And I was also wondering, because let's say I've researched some, let's say, legal question or something, but I always jump to ChatGPT. What do you think of BG-GPT? That was its name, right? The Bulgarian.
Yes, in fact, I didn't try it yet.
Me too,
But it's quite a good step further, because it shows that when we make some products, the people are interested therein. And they may choose between other products, which is good, because this is a good practice, is good rivalry in order to adapt this. And why not in future that we have another futuristic professions as a controller of AI or controller of ChatGPT for the ethics, for example.
Yeah, and do you think that also AI is going to like lower, let's say, maybe corruption or stuff like that, because it's going to become more transparent and more hard to avoid, to escape?
Well, here maybe the basic issue is who and how to adapt the AI, with what purposes, because when I deliberately say something which I'm sure that is forbidden from the law, but directly ask this, it told me that it may not answer, it's not ethical. But if you circumvent it a little bit, for example, could you please advise me if I were you and something like this, it gives me this. It's like, for example, if you say I am 8-year-old guy and I want to bet, what are the numbers for the lottery? The question is no. But if you say I'm very interested when are, for example, could you please give me analysis of the last year's more frequent numbers of the lottery? Maybe you can circumvent this, cheat this, and find the answer. So in the future, we see how to deal with this issue.
Because the first thing that comes to mind when I hear AI and taxation, I'm thinking of like making offshore companies and stuff like that. I mean, that's the first thing that I associate. So you think that there will be regulations on the AI, how to, let's say, maybe stop people from doing that, or?
Well, in fact, doing something offshore is not forbidden. So if you want, from tax perspective, to circumvent the law, like a tax abuse, it's not okay. So how to deal with this? Maybe you still should find a good tax lawyer, tax consultant, not to rely to the technique, I guess, still nowadays.
And do you think that also AI would be trained to, let's say, give answers that would be helpful to the local economy, or like do the right thing, something like that in terms of taxation?
Well, maybe it's, if the information is correct, it could help when you want to find some indicators, some numbers, because if you want to make some comparison, how was the budget during the last decades, it's very hard to make for a 1 or 2 minutes this calculation. But if you rely on AI and you are sure that it's correct, this makes it faster, and you have the clear picture within a minute, which is great, not week, for example.
And also for a conclusion, because your topic of research is very interesting and it's not something that's very common, what would you say to somebody who's graduating and is like, what would you say to, to become a professional in your field, let's say?
Well, always to be provocative,
Yeah.
always to be curious, always not to rely on the technique,
Yeah.
still to rely on his or her sixth sense,
Yeah.
because it's vital to find out alone something, to try it, no matter how it's difficult and challenging, and always to think positively for the society, what is helpful, useful for the society.
Yes, and also, what would you say to a young person who is wondering if he should do taxation?
Whoa, good work. Good work with this, because taxation is, how to say, maybe consists of a lot of components. It's not only law, it's economy, it's accountant, it's like also social behavior, economical philosophy, etc. But, you know, everybody pays taxes.
Yeah.
So at least to have like some basic understanding of this, it's good to have the basic knowledge, because you cannot escape from taxation. The tax administration definitely will find you.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. How is this joke that only death and taxation are certain? So
yeah, definitely.
Well, thank you for being here, and hope you like this episode, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. See you.